What's good, everybody? Welcome to Moments with the Mobleys. I am your man, Johnnie Mobley Jr.
Hey y'all, I'm his wife, Deirdra Mobley.
And we something like an ordinary couple.
With extraordinary purpose. Greetings, salutations, accolades, blessings, all of that.
All right, Mo. What we talking about? I'm packed. I'm full of a lot of different emotions right now. So we can talk about just about anything. What you want to talk about?
Why are you full of emotion?
Because I'm the perspective of couples when they come to us to get counseling or get counseling anywhere is that you've been in something for 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 years.
20, 25.
Doing it
30.
the exact same way. And 1-2 sessions with us or any counselor is not going to resolve that. But for whatever reason, couples feel like when they get in counseling, they feel better when they counseling, and they might have a good night, a day, the rest of that day, and the next day, and then they fall back into the ruts. But that's what happens until it actually changes. But my concern is when a husband and a wife in the same house got stuff going on, and their perspectives of what they see is different. The husband feel like everything's falling apart. It's never going to work out. This is what it is. And the wife feel like everything okay. Or the wife feels like it's crumbling down around me. I don't know what to do. It's not working. Whatever it is. And the husband like, yeah, everything cool. Like how can that be? I just don't get that. And in my mind, that's a disconnect of them being one. That's a result. That's a manifestation of a fruit that they don't have. They're not one. They still are moving as individuals. So if she's all right, then and he's not, then that's on him. He ain't got to be all right. She all right. Or if he all right and she's not, then oh well, I'm good. But if she not, she need to work on that. That's not how it works. It's just not how it works.
Or one of them, the one who maybe is causing the ruckus, or maybe that's causing the tussle. Doesn't want you to or the counselor to know that they're still behaving badly.
The truth.
They're not telling the truth.
But this is the thing. I really feel like when somebody has been operating out of a mindset that's been corrupt for so long, in their mind, it's going to take a lot more than a few sessions to help that. But for them to have the same response when you see chaos in your house, when you are part of the chaos in your house, when the chaos overflows out of your house into other people's homes. But then in your mind, if you got a good night rest and you wake up the next morning, then everything good. After you done touched everybody's life in some kind of way and spread the cancer to everybody. So now everybody is unraveling, upset, whatever the case is. And now you in a place of, all right, really? Really, that bothers me.
I can tell it bothers you.
That really bothers me. And like I said, that's a characteristic of a husband and wife not being one. My wife cannot feel some kind of way, be sad, be upset, be happy, be whatever it is, and I'm not. Or she can't be, I can't be upset and my wife cool and she just moves on. Or vice versa. That's just not how a good relationship or marriage works. And a lot of people probably say, well, yes, we have said I'm sole responsible. My responsibility for my joy is on me, not my wife.
For your
However,
happiness.
my
Yeah.
happiness, there are moments of happiness that my wife can give. But here's the thing, if something is happening with me, then something is happening with my wife. If something is happening with my wife, whether it's good or bad, then something is happening with me. See, you can't take you can't ride the coattail of your husband or your wife when they're in a good place, when they making a lot of money, when they doing all this stuff, and then when they get in a bad place, you jump off the coattail. That ain't how that works. That's just not how it works. And that's the whole element of being one with your spouse. So it just really has, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just it really concerns me when two people live in the same house but have totally different perspectives. Totally different. Now it's something that we can work on, and it's going to take time, but it can't be every time something happens while you in counseling, your one thing is to leave. You don't want it no more. I'm done. I want divorce. I'm separating. I can't do them no more. I can't. That can't be it. So my whole thing will be, why are you in counseling? What are we helping you with if you already quit on your relationship? What is a counselor helping you with if you already quit on your relationship? Just so you can say we went to counseling and it didn't work? And then you wasting the counselor time, the therapist time, and your time. If you already made up your mind what you're going to do, just do it. Just do it. If you really genuinely want help, then reach out to any good therapist, a counselor. They can help you. But don't go into the counseling with basically both of your feet outside the door and you just, turn in with your head in the door like, well, we tried. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, I'm done. What we talking about today?
I guess this is what we talk about. But like we were talking about earlier in another situation, like you told me, what matters is the fact that it takes all these years to build all these habits, right? And they're not going to unlearn them immediately.
But they
In
want
one
immediate.
session,
They want an
immediate results. And
and that's not how it
right.
works.
That's not how it's cultivated, and that's not how it's going to manifest. That you have these bad habits, you have these been using the wrong tools, you've had these this content or what do you call it, combative relationship, and not so much physical, but the way that you all talk to each other, the way that you handle each other, the way that you treat each other, like just very common and very sometimes disrespectful. But then when if it's taken you've been married 11, 15, 20, 25, some may be longer, but you've learned these bad behaviors over a period of time, and thinking that it's going to turn or going to change after one session or after two sessions is really not realistic. And so I think that's something that they don't understand, because you get in this moment where you may have a session with a counselor, whether it be with us or not, but you have a couple good sessions, and then like you said, you have a couple good days between those, and you thinking, oh, we're just new people, we're changed, we don't talk to each other like that anymore, we don't handle each other like that anymore. But then that part of it rears its head again, and then you thinking
It's not working.
it's not working.
And that's
But
not
it's
how
not,
it is.
it's absolutely not going to change that quick. And if you make your posture, well, this just ain't working. Hello. And maybe that's something that which we have also reiterated to couples, like this
On numerous of times.
does not change and
Overnight.
turn overnight because
Yeah.
you have a couple feel good moments. This is behavior that's been learned and been being practiced in your home forever, and it's not, you got to stick to it.
And if you're not transparent, I get
Yeah, to be
whatever
honest,
counselor,
don't lie,
whatever
y'all.
counselor you go to, you entrusting them with your life, with probably secrets that you don't talk to nobody about, that doesn't go outside of your household, and it takes a few sessions for you to trust. But you have to be transparent. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. You can't take power from something that you continue to hide and allow it to grow and keep power. You just can't. Real change come with vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable. That's the only way. It has to be broken down and rebuild for it to actually work. That's what the whole thing
Yeah.
is. And to change, let me give you an example of what changing is. If I was to tell you right now, Allison and Deirdra, if I was to tell y'all that it was never meant for us to walk on our legs and our feet. It was always meant for us to walk on our hands and our arms. So y'all need to change what y'all do because y'all been doing it wrong for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
What was your response be?
You're crazy because I've been doing this. I've been walking and like this and getting around like this on my legs for almost 51 years.
Yeah. And that's how the mind receives any change agent of information when it's been doing what it's been doing for so long. You crazy, this works, we'll be all right, whatever the case is. So for me to say you supposed to walk on your hands and your arms, that's the proper way to do it. It was never supposed to be your legs and your feet. Then most people will say, well, this is how I've been doing it. We're going to have to rock on like this, and my life been pretty good. So I'm not changing it.
But that is a truth, though.
Change is, I don't know nowhere else to put it. We done said it before. Change is the hardest thing you will ever have to do ever in life. It tops everything else. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. You looking something up or you reading a text or what
No,
you doing?
because what I heard what you just said as far as if you told us, what if you told us that we've been doing it wrong? We're not supposed to walk on our feet. We're supposed to walk on our arms and our hands. But in all actuality, that is not true.
No, that is not true. But what I did was use the example of that's how hard it is to change. If you've been doing
Okay,
something for so long,
how hard it would be to believe
that's how
something
hard
else.
it would believe. It's believing, it's receiving, it's actually practicing, putting it in. It takes anywhere from 3 to 7 days for a behavior, for a habit to stick. 3, 4 to 7 days max for a habit to stick with you, like glue. It takes a minimum of 30 days for you to break a habit. So they always say it's easier to get into something than it is to get out
of it. I can believe that.
But I use that example because it's more than just, it's literally rewiring not only your brain, and the only way you can rewire your brain is to change the information in your mind.
Right.
But it takes time. But when you always try to interject something in your mind that has never been there, which is change, to try to get something to change, then your mind, your brain, and your body fights it tooth and nails. It's not going to change. This is what we've been doing. We going to be all right. Even if you know that what you're doing is not right. And that's the crazy thing. Even if you know I cannot keep living like this. That's how hard it is to break that habit. I cannot keep making decisions like this. I cannot keep, I even talk about something with me. So I almost died 3 times. And it was always towards my pressure, basically my pressure and the way I was living. So in the beginning times, it was about me losing weight.
And job-related stress.
So I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to use that no more.
You had those tendencies.
But I am a little OCD. So I want stuff to move. I want the momentum to move. But doing some of the things I've been doing for so long as I've been doing it, it's a little hard to move now. And I'm tired. I can literally say that. So putting a team together, doing all this stuff was important for us to do, because we just couldn't do it by ourselves. But I had to change. And me and my wife was talking about this earlier today. Even with me being rushed to the emergency room in an ambulance, they telling me, they don't understand why I'm still here because my pressure is so high. They doing all kind of tests. They doing bone marrow stuff. They doing all kind of things. And after that should be enough for me to say, I got to change. Now, I did change, but my habits were still there. I changed long enough to get out of the danger zone, and then my habits just picked right back up where they left off. So the last 2 times, it was still stress related. Not too much more about my weight no more. It was more about my decisions of how I was letting stuff sit on me. So I had to change that. So, in the whole process, I had to learn that I had to eat better. It wasn't about being a diet. I had to eat better for my life. I had to eat to live. So that's what I changed all that stuff. And even with that, my stress levels were still high. So it wasn't just that part of it. I had to change other parts of it. I can't allow stuff to sit on me. I can't allow other people's decisions to put me in a bad place.
Or affect you.
Yeah, so
to that point.
What happens in life, because of all the people you're connected to, whether it be on your job, a team of people in your family, whatever it is, whatever y'all doing that's supposed to be towards the same goal, everybody has their perspective again. Everybody have their different perspective of how they believe something should work. And everybody wants to put their $2, $3, $4, $75, whatever in. And then they want to move in this direction. And then when something doesn't go, or you don't agree upon something, then it goes off the cliff. And then you're part of that rescue squad that's supposed to come and help and urgently do stuff now that all the bad decisions have been made. Can you help us fix it? Type thing. And we don't need it fixed. We've been trying to fix it. You've been making the bad decisions for 7 years, but now we need you to fix it because we need it fixed in 3 days. And that's the part of me, because I am who I am. When I put my hand to something, I want it to work in excellence. So I had to figure out a way to not let that stuff sit on me, because I cannot be responsible for other people's decisions. I can give them advice. I can give them my best of what I believe should happen when I'm asked. But when you don't take the systems, when you don't take the advice, when you don't take the stuff and you think you have a better way, then by all means do it that way. But then when it gets off the cliff, how is that my emergency to like, so now you've been doing it like this for 7 years and now you need me to fix it in 3 days? Why should I be stressed with that?
Well, remember there was a saying that I put on. This was many years ago when I worked at this one particular job, and I actually typed it and I printed it and I taped it to my desk, and it says, "Your lack of preparation does not constitute an emergency for me."
Yeah.
Because in the case that you're talking about, like you said, if if you're a poor planner, because there's another saying that means the same thing, but it's said differently. I've heard it, but I don't remember it. But in essence, you can't come and now make this an emergency for me to do. When you've procrastinated, when you've had poor planning, when you have, like you said, maybe done it a bad way for so long, and now you need something done to change it, and now you want it to be an emergency for me.
And that's the totality of what I had to get a grasp on in my life. So I had to change some stuff. So even with me, the change had to be a full change in all areas of my life. And it was hard to do. I can say now that it was hard to do, but at the time, I thought I was doing it. I thought I was doing everything I needed to do, so I didn't have to be on the blood pressure medicine. I didn't have to be on all these meds to try to keep my organs and stuff moving. That's what I thought, but I wasn't. It wasn't. So it was the physical part. The brain part is a part of the mind. The mind rewires the brain. Your thought process, your choices rewires your brain. Your brain is the control tower to tell your body what to do. So I can say the physical is a part of the brain. So your physical body and your brain is all a part of that. But what changes that is changing your mindset. And I had to receive in totality everything that I needed to change. And that I wasn't doing that. I figured that, if I got the weight off, then that'll be enough. And then I found out that that wasn't enough. So I had to change literally everything in every area of my life.
Right.
To get it to where I needed it to be. So getting back to the counseling part, it's a lot. It's a lot that couples and individuals carry from their childhood, from what they saw in their mom and dad's life, whether the parents were together or not, by whoever raised them, by things that they were equipped with, as well as things that they wasn't equipped with. So most men who've been raised by women, not saying that that's not, it's a lot of strong women that can raise, it's a lot of strong women that are single parents to men. But it takes a man to instill something in another man, which has, so the results of that is a man responding the way he does because he feels like everybody's challenging his manhood. And that's the piece that most men who have been raised by women are missing. It's like anything that anybody says or does that challenges what you believe is your manhood, then it's always a defense or an offense. Either you cutting somebody off, either you cussing somebody out, either you want to fight somebody, regardless of what it is. And that's not that's a part of that's a characteristic that is missing in most men who are raised by single women. Now, that's not taking nothing away from single moms, because most of them, they've been put in that situation not by their own choice. So, I can't remember. Where was I going with this? I told you I'm emotional and I got a lot of stuff going on right now. Anyway.
Are you saying that because of how they're raised, that can affect how they now treat their spouse and
how they
deal with situations?
life.
Absolutely.
How they see life. So now you're married, you have kids, and now if your wife asks you any question about a decision that you want to make, now she's trying your manhood. And that's completely wrong. It's completely false. That's not a challenge in your manhood.
Like you said, because that's what his narrative has been.
Yeah, that's what his narrative is. Of course,
that's what it's gonna come out as. But again, that's something that can be. That's a characteristic that can be changed, or shown a different way to help him first and foremost understand why he's even thinking that way.
Yeah,
and so that comes along with. When you get in counseling and when you get, when the couples come to us and we're digging and we're asking those questions, you know what I'm saying? How were you raised? Who raised you? What was their relationship like? Were your parents together? Were you raised with a step parent involved? And what is that relationship like? So all that stuff pours into now the man you have that's in a family.
Yeah. And we ask
with
all
a wife
questions.
And with kids. And you're trying to figure out, how did I get here? Or have you been married before? Or, how many, what was your relationship and dating like when you, before y'all got married? Because that can leave residue.
Yeah.
And ways and residue and emotions and certain ways that you've developed that you handle situations that can be brought into a marriage. And so now everything is tore up from the flow up. Excuse me, as we used to say, I want some greens and rice. I don't know where that came from, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, what you were saying.
It's so much. It's the greens and rice thing threw me off.
I know it did because I really don't know where that was. You just get a strong urge. But no, all I was saying was it is a lot that goes into how a person grew up and how they have held and dealt with and what care or lack of care or just whatever from the relationships that lead up to them being married. And now what we've seen is now they're here and they really don't know how to have a relationship.
Yeah.
Or it may have been blissful in the beginning because it's the lovey-dovey period where you're trying to woo her, y'all trying to woo each other. And, it is lovey-dovey, but now you're here getting into real life and real life stuff. And now certain things are coming up from past relationships or the way that they've been raised. And now it's coming up as triggers and it's triggering them.
Which they can't identify.
Right.
They just know they feel some kind of way is a bad way and they need a response in a defensive or offensive way. Either they defense and basically offensive means they trying to move side to side so they can counter what they believe might be a negative thing that you're trying to do. Defensive way is basically they trying to bite your head off because
before you even get it out.
That's a sore spot for them. Yeah. They don't know why. So it's, they just put up their dues. Everybody who want to get counseling, you have to understand that it takes time. We will dissect it. Most counselors will dissect it over time. But you got to remember, you talking about meeting with a counselor once a week for an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours, versus you living the way you've been living every single day of your life 24/7. And that's hard to do. I go back to the example. If I told you you're supposed to walk on your arms and your hands,
That'll
and
be
not
very
your,
hard to receive.
you
And
can't even comprehend that. Like, most people won't even comprehend that because this is what I've been doing, and you telling me I've been doing it wrong or it's not the best way to do it. So that's how your mind tries to receive it. So you have to give it time, and you have to be willing, and you can't go back to your comfort zone of wherever that might be, of hollering, yelling, cursing, verbal abuse, quitting, divorce, separation. You don't want it no more. It just can't go back to that, because all that does is trigger everything else. So you have to give your counselors time to help you work through all these areas, because it takes time.
yeah,
It's not gonna happen overnight. I promise you. We see folk every day that's still living out of trauma, and they've been to counseling, but they still have bits and pieces of trauma that they still make decisions out of in their present life. And then they don't understand why it tears everything up once they make the decision. And this is why.
and I think a part of that is that they seek help, they get the tools, but for whatever reason don't want to put those tools into play, or
Well,
they're fighting against it, or they fall back into what they know, what they have
zone.
been doing and what they have been comfortable doing. And I'm saying that to say, if you reach out, be prepared to use the tools that are being given to you. Like, legit, be prepared to use them, because it's a waste of our time and your money if you're really not committed to putting in the work.
Yeah.
And not that you're going to do everything perfect, or not that you're not going to, maybe handle something as you used to handle it, even though, like you used to handle it, even though we've given you new tools to use to do something different so you can get a different result. And don't beat yourself down when that happens, because it will, but don't let that be the norm. Is that you just automatically start going back to what you used to do based on this. Okay, so this is the conversation that Johnny and I were having earlier. I was like, okay, so you find yourself, this couple, you find yourself in this situation of really, whether it's physical or verbal, it's all toxic, but just per se, this one is verbal. And y'all reach out for help, but one person wants to do the work. The other one, this is what Johnny's take on it was, that the other person wants to do the work, but is stuck in their ways or their old ways or their old habits so hard that they don't know how to kind of start to turn the corner to do better, or to use those tools to help do better. But I see it as, not that I agreed with you, but I also saw it as like,
well, the but just say you don't agree.
Well, I agree with you. I do have a few things to add on to that.
Well, let me add
because
this.
I understand that it can be debilitating when you've done something for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel like that person just got to like legit hit rock bottom.
So this is what, remember when I was talking about a single mom raising the
Right.
son? So throughout the years, the relationships you are in, whether it's romantic or family, friend, foe, regardless of what it is, once you attach yourself to different people and let people in, you always pick up characteristics of that. Whether it's you changing or them changing, regardless of what it is, but that becomes a part of your narrative and your decision making and a lot of different stuff. So as you move forward, if this is all you've been doing your entire life, is doing that, which means you literally don't know who you are. And
it's embedded deep.
It's scary as hell.
It is.
For you to want to let all that stuff go, because all that stuff the bad, the toxic, all that stuff makes up who you believe you are as a man.
I get it.
So if I let all that go, who am I? And that's the part that a man has to be willing to face. It's scary. It's scary, especially if you 30 in your 30s, 40s, got a wife, kids. That's scary. But it's something that's needed. We tell couples all the time, you've been married, but you haven't really lived your relationship the way it is. So this is day one for it because you didn't understand what marriage was, what it is to be one,
You who you were are.
who you are. So all the years that you've been married, you've been basically, you haven't
Just married on paper.
That's it.
Not come into real relationship.
So for anybody, that's scary. But for men who have created this narrative of who they believe they are and what a man is, to release and let go all that stuff, their biggest fear is not knowing who they are, or will they lose themselves, or who am I supposed to be now, and where am I supposed to get that stuff from? So, and that's what I was trying to explain to you earlier when it comes to that. I get, you got to buckle down, you got to be intentional, you got to do this, you got to do that. I get that part. But what most people are fighting as well is, this is my whole makeup of who I believe I am.
Right. I get that.
So if I release all this, am I nothing now? Am I supposed to, what am I supposed to do now? Who am I supposed to be? And then I got a wife and kids. What am I supposed to do with this?
But then you might not be about to have a wife and kids. Because that could be a very real situation as well.
That is.
Because if you're not healthy and you're cultivating an unhealthy environment now for your wife, for your children, and all these things, then, and she's a woman who's seen the light, or it's like really understanding, now what's going on, or the fact that those, of course she's important, but those kids are even more important because they didn't ask to be here. And so, but I think the thing that why we're so passionate is that we see who they could be if they would just release, that they'll find themselves if they would just release it. If they would just release the control that they feel that they have to have, if they'll release all these bad habits, and because when it's been embedded in you for so long, you think it's good. You know what I'm saying? You see that there's nothing wrong with it.
And your narrative, and we've said this before, you can operate out of your trauma for so long that it becomes your norm. So you believe that the decisions that you are making are good decisions.
Even though you're getting bad results.
Yeah.
Which may seem crazy, but we literally watch it happen.
Yeah.
We literally watch it happen. And it's really disheartening. It really is. Because and I think that's why we tell, couples that may start with us, and then after a few sessions, I think sometimes they think, oh, well, yeah, what they say makes sense. And, that's all we needed. We got it from, here. We don't, we don't need to come back no more. And that's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, what you have to realize is, like Johnny said, it takes a week, the max of a week, for a habit to form, but it takes 30 days to reverse that.
Yeah.
And so whoever you're seeing, or whoever you're going to reach out to, whoever's helping you, give it time to help you change your situation, because the one thing that is, because we care about our couples, and I'm not going to even say sometimes, because we don't carry what we get from people. We give it as well as we point them to God. But it's in our they're in our thoughts, so they become more than just somebody that we met on Zoom to help, or just whatever, or in person to help. It because we see, okay, and the truth be told, they actually see it help when they
Yeah.
when they use the tools and do something different for a
But they just don't
situation.
use it
Right,
consistently,
consistently,
every
right.
day,
Yeah.
whether they
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like it or
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a disclaimer. I have no idea what's happening right now. I just know this is what
That you
we're
got on
talking
here,
about.
but to be honest, what we were talking about earlier to talk about is the part of it where, like, when is it time for either, and that's either spouse to like leave, to exit the relationship, when one, after it's been brought to both of their attention that this is not a, the one person, is, whether it's, like I said, the husband or the wife, is making the whole home or the atmosphere toxic because of stuff that they are either, one, not stuff that they're not willing to deal with, or two, that they're afraid to deal with. Then how long does the wife stick it out, and now it turns into her, okay, we gonna work it out, or the husband, okay, it turns into, okay, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna work it out because we going to see somebody, or we going to get help. And then it turns into when the other when whoever that person is decides that they really, for whatever reason, aren't committed to making those changes, then it turns into, now the spouse could actually feel like, okay, so now you're intentionally still being, having bad behavior, or still creating a toxic environment for me, as well as the children that we have in the home. And so at some point, and it might be her or him leaving with the children, or separating, or whatever, is the thing, or the kicker, that is the rock bottom for that person, to make them say, this is crazy. Obviously, I'm doing something wrong, and I haven't been acknowledging it, and I need to get help, and I'm going to stick with that help to help change my behavior.
Or it can be the catalyst to push them in the other direction.
You're right.
And
that's what we don't want to happen.
You don't know what it is. And I mean, the only way, listen, when you do go to counseling, if you do get married counseling, go in flat-footed, whole body, all in, everything. Transparent, everything. Most counselors are licensed to, I mean, they can't talk about your situation, your family, your name. They can't do that with anybody. So it's confidential when you do that. And it's an oath that counselors we take. So you have to, if you want this help, you have to expose all the hurt parts, not just the parts that you want us to see.
Right.
Because it never gets, you never go from bad to good to great by just showing or giving people what you want them to see, because you're too shameful, embarrassed, or whatever the case is about all the other stuff. That's a trauma as well, because a lot of people don't want to say certain things because they believe in their mind that people are going to see them different, or respond different, or judge them different. If you go into a good counselor or therapist, that's not going to ever happen. It should not ever happen. I'll put it to you like that. It should not ever happen. With us, it would never happen. So, and I can only speak for us, but I know for a fact that there's some other good therapists and counselors out there. So, we do know a couple of them, but we don't know all of them. So, but when you go in, definitely go in as transparent as you possibly can. If you got to peel off the layers, then that's fine. But give it time. Counseling takes time. It takes time to unravel all this stuff that that a couple have been living for I don't know how many years. It takes time to unravel it. It takes time to deactivate some stuff. It takes time to give you the aha moments, like my wife said, so you can see what connects to what, why I respond like this, why I think like this, why, where I got this from. So it takes time for all that stuff to be kind of unraveled and put in its place. But don't ever not get counseling because you're ashamed of decisions that you've made. The counseling is for you to become a better person. As individuals and in a marriage. Because you got to remember, especially couples with children, that your children, all the stuff that you said you were not going to give your children, you was going to react to your children, your children were not going to be raised as, and they will never be this or never be that. I will never treat them the way. And most parents say that the way I was raised, my children would never be raised like that. But if you ain't got nothing else to pull from, how you gonna not raise them like that? So you have to be vulnerable enough to allow counseling and the tools and be intentional about using the tools every day. And here's the thing, even use them when they feel good, use the tools when it don't feel good. When it's awkward, when you go back to you have to pick up them tools and use them. It's imperative that you do that because most couples, when they start counseling, they use the tools that make them feel ooey and gooey. But then when they start to convert back to that familiar place to make decisions, that's the most important time for you to use the stuff. And that's when it feels weird and awkward. That's how you need to use it in them times. Am I all over the place?
You got back focused after you went, down to North Augusta. But you back. You've been back for a while.
So I guess this podcast is twofold. One, if you get a good counselor, a therapist to help, a marriage counselor, a therapist to help, utilize them to their fullest. Everything that they give you, everything that they teach you, everything that they show you, you have to receive it. If you have to take notes, whatever you have to do, you have to indulge your entire body into that. The mind, everything. And then give it time for it to change. Mm-hmm. Give time for it to set in, for the new behaviors and habits to evolve. And two, I don't know what number two is. I did say twofold.
You did. Extend yourself grace to know that, things will change and it'll turn for the better and you will become better and you will become healthier if you just give it time, as Johnnie said, and use the tools that you're being given to help cultivate a better you. And that'll help to be for all the relationships that you're in to be happier, to be healthier. Prayerfully, that's what it'll do. So, we talked about this because it was, was heated in your heart.
It was.
That's just because of,
we are passionate
how we
about
feel.
Couples and marriage, and we've told y'all this before. We are very, very passionate about it. And family. So we want couples to, have what we have for you to experience it. It is real and it can happen. So, but you gotta really, really want it. You gotta dig deep and you gotta really, really want it. The change it just has to happen. Change is absolutely, positively, hands down, the hardest thing to do. in any area of your life. And with that, I'm signing off and dropping the mic.
Well, he's not really gonna drop the mic because one,
These mics cost a lot of money.
they cost money, and you don't need to drop them, sir.
I'm not dropping them.
Two, my intention from when we first started was to tell y'all that we missed y'all last week because we was out having babies.
Well, we wasn't having babies.
Well,
but
they
our
were
babies,
being added to
our
our
babies
bloodline.
was having babies.
Right. And so many of you know, some of you, many of you, a few of you, some know that baby Psalm number 9 made his entrance
How many boys
to the
we got?
world. 8 boys and
8
one
grandsons.
granddaughter.
1 granddaughter.
And Psalm made his entrance on Tuesday, January 31st.
And I have no idea how our grandchild, the Aubrey, I have no idea how she's going to do this.
She's going to do just fine because
I don't know.
She tussles with them. They love
She
on.
do.
They
She
tussle
do.
and she tussles right along with
But
them.
please
dress or no
understand,
dress, and she loves them and they love her. And
there's 7 of them that stay here. Stay here, right here, in this area. There's 1 that's staying there, and there's 1 that stay here. It's 7 of them that stay here. So when she go to school, and she's the second oldest.
no,
Tristan's the oldest.
okay, I'm lying. She is the second oldest.
Don't do that,
She was
man.
the second one, so he was thinking about it. So, but listen, y'all, this, and I don't know if we should add this to this part of it, or if we need to just put it at the beginning of the next taping. But we have I guess we'll tell y'all next week because we have been, the time is going on.
Ooh,
But we'll share.
tongue-tied a little
Yeah, I was a little bit. But we're going to share our escapade to Atlanta after we got the call. After we got the call about her being in labor because it was quite a time.
And
but
it just
we are
goes
going to
tell
share
you that the Lord don't answer all your prayers if his plan is different.
Listen, well, he still got us there, and we
He
got
did
there
get us
safely.
there. His grace
but
and mercy.
We go share with y'all the escapades,
But
the whole
my prayer,
ordeal that happened.
my prayer was, Jesus, let me get this good night's sleep, and in the morning we out.
Okay.
In Jesus' name, amen.
So, well, we gonna tell y'all what really happened. I guess on next week's episode. So, all right, take us on out.
All right. Marriage is a journey, one-way journey. Remember that, and this could be a great journey. But the 2 people that are on the journey together have to want it to be a great journey.
Yeah, you ain't gonna always like each other,
But it'll come to a point to where
but
you will.
as long as you love each other,
Yeah.
you love each other.
I think
It'll
I
come.
like you. I've always loved you, and
Yeah.
I think I like you most of the time. A good percentage of the time.
You mean now that now?
Did you say now?
Yeah, like now.
You confused?
I'm talking about like the first few some odd years you say
Yeah.
you didn't like me, but
It's little.
I'm
it's
talking about
little-
like now.
now. 99.78. I like you.
And what's that other
It's a small
2 or
percentage.
3, 2.5 or 3%?
It's a small percentage when I be saying, what's I don't understand what she doing. Why is it? But we talk about it.
What?
We're not finna do this now. This will be another podcast. We'll talk about it.
This can be for a clip or a reel or something. What?
No, nah.
Okay, end it, and then we're gonna talk about it.
You want to talk about it on the air?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it right now?
Yeah, let's end this, and then let's talk about it.
You in these clothes.
What about them? In my closet?
No. Just the ones that be on the floor in our room.
You just washed them.
Not the ones that I just put up.
Well, we left.
But it was down there quite a while before we left. This has been.
Yeah, end it. Because then we're gonna finish talking about it.
See,
go ahead.
Now you want to die?
No.
You gonna be defensive now?
No, I'm not.
See?
Go ahead.
You want to put it on the air.
No. Go ahead. End it.
Listen.
This has been.
No, we got to tell the people where to find us at. Do the commercial.
For all things Mobleys, you can go to www.momentswiththemobleys.com. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are Moments with the Mobleys on all of them, except for Twitter. Twitter, we are Mobley Moments. Thank you, guys. Make sure you go to YouTube. Make sure you like the page. Hit the little bell, y'all.
Subscribe.
Subscribe so you can see when we have new episodes coming out. Also, vote for us. Am I telling them that too?
I believe so. I think we made the first round.
Yeah, so it's to be on the ballot.
So vote for us.
Yeah.
Savannah Connect.
Connect Savannah.
What she said.
1 time a day from any email. Well, you can, if you got 5 emails, you can vote 5 times a day. But it has to be from a different email, right? So please do that for us.
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. Every day.
All right. So we about to go.
This has been Moments with the Mobleys. I am your man, Johnny Mobley Jr.
Mm-hmm. I'm his wife, Deirdra.
Oh, it took you a little pause.
Sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Had to get my
bearings. And we something like an ordinary couple.
Mm-hmm. With extraordinary purpose.
Peace out. I guess we're going to talk about these clothes.
Night.